Yo. So I wanted to put this video together because I had a little bit of trouble understanding fully how graphs worked with Rego. And the documentation does lay it out, but it was a little abstract to me. So kind of playing with this in different scenarios has helped. And hopefully, this helps some other people understand how this works. So what we're going to do is use this playground that I built, and we're going to use a data set with airports and their cities and countries. So here we have the airport code, we have the city and the country that they're in, and then just the name of each one. We're not going to use the name for this one, but it's there. So what we're going to do is build some object rules that will be our edges, and that will let us map these things together. So first we're going to map the airport to the country. So we're going to loop through all of the airports in the input. Airport ends up being this value, and then country is saved in this variable, which ends up going here. And so when we evaluate this, we see in our edges we have the airport code and then the country that it's in. And then what Rego does for us is create this Boolean to say that this relationship exists. And so we're going to do exactly the same thing, but we're going to flip it around. And so now if we evaluate this again, we'll see down here that all of these airport codes are now inside the US. And so we can take this same thing and we can build our cities then, our city relationships. And we're going to do this here. And so now if we go back, we can see that the Allentown Airport both has the relationship from the airport code to the city of Allentown, and it's in the US. And so we can build our airport graph this way. And we're going to use set comprehension to define this. So we're going to say for all of the nodes, we're going to go through and say we're going to create an edge from the node and then what it's mapped to. And so if we run this, we'll see our airport graph now has each airport code has a set pointing to the city and the country, or containing the city and the country. And then that means we can now use graph.reachable, and we can pass in our graph and then pass in what we're querying. So in this case, we're querying US. And now a reachable says that we have all of these things that are reachable by the US. And that's great if we need to know all of the things that are reachable in the graph, but that's not always what we want to do. Sometimes we only want to know what's directly reachable by that thing, like one level down. So what I'm going to do is actually make this a little bit easier to read. And so we're going to create a key value label for each of these. So we're going to call this country, and then do that for the countries and the cities. And then do the same thing here. This is supposed to be city. And so now if I run this, we'll see that ABE, which is Allentown, has a relationship to the city of Allentown and the country of the US. Now you'll see that a reachable stopped working, and that's because now that we're querying for the country, we need to use that label. And now everything that's reachable in the US now is back in this set. And so one other thing we can do here is make this a little bit easier to read. And the way we're going to do that is, instead of using airport and country like this, we're going to say from and to. And so what we're going to do is loop through the airports. We need to remove this here. This is just input airport country. And then from is going to be the airport. And then to is going to be the country. And so just to save time, I'm going to copy and paste the rest of these. Okay. So now if we evaluate this, we'll see here in Reachable that we have the airport with the airport code, the city, and the country. Now, like I was saying before, if we only want to know what's one level deep, instead of knowing everything that's related to the US, what we can do instead of using graph.reachable is actually just query the airport graph. So I'm going to redefine a.reachable here. And instead of passing the airport graph into graph.reachable, I'm just going to look in airport graph for, country US. And what that's going to give us is every airport that is in the United States or has a direct relationship to the United States. But now we can also say airport ABE, and that'll give us the data about that airport. Or I can say city Allentown, and that will give us the airport that is in Allentown. And so that makes it a little bit easier if we only need to go one level deep. And one other thing we can do here on top of this is we can query all of the common things. And so the way to think of this is it's kind of everything that appears as a source and a destination. So you can think of it as, give me every node that has at least one outgoing edge and at least one incoming edge. And so what we're going to do for that is we're going to define a new set here. And I'm just going to call that a common so it shows up at the top. And we're going to say in our edges, give me name. And that would be everything that's in from. And then I'm going to go through everything that's in from with the underscore. And then everything that matches the name inside of that. And so what you'll see here is in a common, we have airport ABE, all of these airports, and then all of these cities. So each of these have an incoming and outgoing edge that match. And so that gives us pretty much everything that's in our graph. So just a quick video. Hopefully it helps someone understand graphs a little better, because I know I had a bit of a hard time understanding them to begin with. So hopefully this helps someone.